Thank you, President Noble and members of the board. Thank you for opening this, and Superintendent Garcia, thank you for this forum and allowing this public comment. I think the bottom line in education is not dollars, it's teaching and learning. And any decision, thank you, any decision ought to be based on whether this is in the best interests of the students in terms of their education. There's 4 decades of research that show that students perform better in smaller schools. In terms of elementary schools, that means about 400 students or less. I spent a year of my life actually researching this topic and collecting the research, and I happen to have a report that we put out back in 2008 that I'd like each one of you to read. But to just quickly summarize, it shows not only do students tend to do better in smaller schools, but there are higher satisfaction levels among students, parents, teachers, and principals. You know, we've been down this road before. As you may remember, in 2010, 3 small schools, 3 neighborhood schools in our community were closed: Alvord, Connie, and Laragoite. We were told at the time by the then superintendent that the achievement of those students, by the way, those kids were 77% free and reduced lunch. They were the weakest, most marginalized people in our community. And their parents came here and asked your predecessors not to close their schools. But the district went ahead, and the then superintendent said that achievement would go up, not down. Well, what happened was those kids were all consolidated into a very large school designed by a prison architect and repurposed to be a school. That's a fact. Aspen School, and their scores, in fact, went down, sadly, as we predicted they would. Their proficiency rates are lower today than they were in their previous small schools. So I would encourage you, before you close any schools, to revisit that decision and to say, was that in the best interest of our children? Because I don't want to see you make the same mistake again. And, you know, some people say, well, you know, this might save some money. And usually it's because, you know, we have this factory model sense of economics, economies of scale. But actually, when you think of it, if kids were widgets, that would make sense. But it turns out that kids have emotions, and have feelings, and they perform better in smaller communities where they're better known. So I hope you'll take that into account. We would suggest instead, if you want to close schools, that instead you consider redrawing boundaries so that every child in Santa Fe has the opportunity to attend a small school. Thank you.
Thank you.